All right. Imagine for a moment that death shows up shortly before it's your time and has a conversation with you and visits with your closest loved one as well. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, oh, we're going to be talking about um, Meet Joe Black. Uh, Very similar film in that sense. But that's not what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking today about the movie Tuesday, starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Lola Pettigrew, um, and I may be completely butchering this name, but Aaron's Keen or Kine. It is directed by Dinah Pusick. Um, I when I first saw the trailer for this film, and actually what I'm going to do, um, I'm going to let you see the trailer, and then we'll come back. So here is the trailer for Tuesday.
I just don't think you understand how Tinder works.
Can I tell you something? I know exactly how Tinder works.
Then you
do.
don't understand how flirting works.
How do you think you got here?
It hurts
Where, honey?
everywhere.
Unique. You made my head silent.
Who are you talking to? Can you please just come out so she can see you?
Madam, you need to say goodbye to your daughter.
You have to get strong now.
I can't.
You can. And you have to let me help you.
Life, every life, ends.
I felt the pain that you have. I don't know what I am without you, who I am without you. I don't know what the world is without you in it. I love you more than anything in the whole world.
You'll be okay. Promise.
Promise.
Promise, promise.
Promise. Promise.
The echo you leave, the legacy, your memory is how she lives.
As you can tell, when I first saw this in theaters is where I saw the trailer. I can't even remember what movie I was in, um, but I was drawn straight to it, and um, immediately I kind of realized. I think if you're paying attention, you can pretty much pick up on what the theme is going to be here. It's going to be a discussion of grief, how we handle it, and just death in general. Not just our own mortality, but the mortality of those we care about. And I was probably drawn to it mostly due to the relatively recent loss of um, our dog Pepper, um, Black Lab, a family dog in every sense of the word. Um, like a lot of people that have um, lost pets and loved ones that they were extraordinarily close to. Um, I went through grief. I'm still going through grief. Um, and I think during those times we try to make sense of things you just can't make sense of, um, and that's grief. We all experience it a little differently, and yet all experience it somewhat similarly, if that makes sense. And this movie, I had a feeling maybe this could speak to what I was going through. Um, and so we went and saw it, and uh, it very much so spoke to that, the grief of losing those you care about. But really, there's a lot going on with it. There was a conversation about death in general, I think, in this movie. Um, one that we don't really, at least I haven't seen it really fully discussed in this manner, and that is really the humanity of death, um, especially in the presence of so much pain and suffering. This film goes through that and has that kind of conversation that you know those that we care about, those that we lose, that are in pain and are suffering, you know, the inhumane thing would be to let them continue to be in that pain and that suffering. And I think that this film really, really addresses that. I think it also, in something that, in a way that I haven't seen before, and I've seen Meet Joe Black, but I feel like this was completely different. Outside of the obvious that this is a bird we're talking about and Meet Joe Black is a person. But I feel like you really see in this movie, there's some really good imagery. I mean, beautiful imagery of maybe the pain that death is going through. You know, there's such a thing as post-traumatic stress disorder and panic attacks and anxiety for folks that have witnessed death and they go through that. And, you know, I think that this film asks the question of what would that look like for a being, an entity that is in control of it and deals with it on a second-by-second basis. And it was just, it was intriguing. It was, it humanized death in a way that I feel like hasn't been done before in film. And it was very touching. It was very, very touching. I think that the other piece to this is a discussion of grief in general, how we grieve. You know, in a lot of ways, it addresses the urge to just run from it and never face it, to never pause and allow yourself to feel, and what that does. So I just a lot of pieces here to this movie. You know, breaking it down piece by piece like we usually do. Plot, theme, I mean, those are 10 out of 10s to me. The acting, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I adore Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and I think she's a tremendous actress. and she is no different in this. She brings an emotion to her character and the things that she is going through, or really maybe even the lack of facing the things that she's going through, and what that does to another level. So I just absolutely incredible. The editing, the pace was perfect. Chef's kiss. The only thing that may have stood out to me a little bit is a little bit of where CGI was a little noticeable, particularly in a scene that involves water. But it's such a small piece to such an incredibly powerful film that I can't take much away for that at all. This movie is exactly what I needed therapeutically, I feel like, in a lot of ways. And just a tremendous discussion about a topic that a lot of us don't like to talk about, that we don't really like to even face. But it's through talking about it and discussing it that, I don't know that we'll ever make complete sense of it, but we'll make a little bit more. And it'll help us go through the things that we are going through, if that makes sense. I think it's important. It's important to be open. It's important to discuss these topics, and I think that this film does it so well. So I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I give it a 9 out of 10. IMDb currently, it's at a 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, it is got an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. So Rotten Tomatoes is closer to me this time around. There are humorous moments in the movie. I'm not going to say it's total darkness, obviously. But it's a lot. But I can't stress enough how important it is that this film even exists. At least for me. So, again, this movie is called Tuesday. It's a film that I felt like really flew under the radar, especially during a season where we got a lot of things coming out, a lot of things leaving theaters that people are probably trying to catch up on, from Fall Guy to Furiosa to Inside Out to If. There's all these bigger, films, in terms of maybe marketing that are out there. But this one kind of flew under that radar, and it needs attention, and it needs to be seen, and it needs to be discussed. Not surprising at all to me that this is an A24 film. They usually hit the nail on the head, especially as of late. Iron Claw was an A24 film that was fantastic. So there's a number of really good ones. So anyway, I would encourage you to give this movie a watch. It's extremely important and a very powerful film, in my opinion. So the movie is Tuesday. I give it a 9 out of 10.